Hi, I'm Euge Valovirta, and this one is about SONICAKE's Tone Group 10-band EQ pedal. Alright, first the gear EVH Frankie into the pedal board, then into KH Audio amp switcher, 2 amps, Marshall JCM800 2203X, the reissue Peavey 5150 block letter, from 92. Then into my Marshall 1960 BV cabinet, mic'd with a 2 SM57s in the Fredman tiny amount of SC Electronics VR1 ribbon mic blended in. And now it's the 800 without anything, just the amp. Now it's 5150. The SD1 was briefly on there. So let's see what we can do with a 10-band EQ. Let me show you first my go-to, especially with Marshalls, how the Marshalls sound with SD, and then let's dial something similar, at least first, with the Tone Group EQ. Cool, and without. Okay, now with the EQ. As you know, the EQ, there's no overdrive like on the SD, which I don't have much, as you can probably see, but we're just gonna make the amp distort more and become a little bit tighter by boosting certain frequencies. So the TS knob now, it's the EQ. Obviously, because it's flat, nothing's happening. So let's boost a little bit the incoming signal, so the amp gets hotter signal, so the preamp tubes will distort more. Like that. Okay, then let's cut some of the, we don't need any of the 31 Hz, probably. You don't really need the 4K, that's... .4K can sometimes be a bit harsh, so I leave that untouched, but I'm boosting 8K and a lot of 16, a lot of mids starting from 250 and to 2K. So you hear, by boosting the mids, so the amp gets a lot of mids into the preamp tubes and they start to distort. And I don't want to distort the low end because that becomes like this. Just muddy. So this way, when an EQ pedal is in front of the amp, we are shaping the signal from the guitar going into the amp. Like with overdrive, like the SD1, you have your level, which is level here, level, drive, this doesn't have drive, and then the tone, and on the SD, it's high frequency. So how much high frequencies you want to overdrive? Because we gotta remember, this is in front of the amp. The amp sees a certain signal. If there's not anything, then when we add SD or the EQ. Okay, let's change the amp. Now the 5150, I've dialed kind of this low gain sound. Then with SD. And now I kick the EQ. EQ off. And of course we can, you know, shape the sound. Now it's kind of like a treble booster in a way, so I'm just boosting the top. Cutting a little bit low, boosting the top. So EQ in front can act as your maybe lead, boost, not volume but gain if you want to have more gain, or just you leave it on all the time and then your clean sound is kind of like, you know, EQ off. Or neck pickup. So, many ways to use it in front. Now, let's see how we can really shape the amp sound by putting it into an effect loop. So now we've been only shaping the sound the amp gets. You know, depending what kind of sound. I mean, it starts from here, and then you can boost it and shape it with EQs, overdrives, and then, you know, the amp will see a certain sound and it amplifies that. As many of we all know, amplifiers doesn't have a sound. I mean, the name suggests it amplifies a sound, which you create mostly with your hands, but then with EQs, overdrives, you can shape your sound, how it hits the amp, and then the amp amplifies that. And you know, if you're a good player, you will sound good no matter the gear. If you're a bad player, you will sound bad no matter the gear. Just many times louder. Alright, now let's put it into 800's effect loop and see what kind of tones we can get out from 800. Alright, now the pedal is in the 800's effect loop, and now SD1 on, and you know, it's then let's add the EQ. So what I did, I kind of boosted low mids a little bit, cut it a little bit lows to make it kind of more like a Soldano style walk walk. So I'm boosting a 125 Hz, 250, 500, a little bit 2K, and just add that air 16K. It's a little bit quieter, obviously, even though I'm not boosting the level, but just a certain frequency. So those frequencies, the preamp will hit harder to the power amp. not like 5150, obviously different amp, but kinda in that territory by just boosting low mids and mids, kind of low mids after the preamp section into the power amp. So it makes the 800's preamp completely different kind of preamp with this extra EQ in the loop, because as you probably know, effect loop is after preamp section, before power amp section, in between. So that's why it's called the effect loop, because it's there in between. And no, you should not put an overdrive there, because like SD1, low cut, whatever, you put that in the loop. Well, if you do that, you'll hear. So yeah, conclusion. This is a good, great EQ. It says on the manual that it's based of a classic EQ effect pedal. Well, MXR 10-band EQ is gray, so good guess that this is based on the MXR. I can't remember if the frequency bands are the same, but whether it's based on that or something else, I think it's great. The frequency bands are nicely selected. I think especially guitar in mind. I really like the 16K that you can add that air, and the 4K, which sometimes can be a bit harsh. You can change that down if you want. And then you have a lot of control. I mean, these 31 and 62 Hz are kind of a bit useless with guitar. I mean, you can get, if it's a really thin guitar, you can add that, but usually those will be cut out in the mix, because that's the area where bass guitar lives. But yeah, great EQ pedal, and like you heard, in general with EQ you can shape the tone a lot. I usually, when I did more like guitar tech things, and still when I'm on tour, I usually have always an EQ pedal of some sort with me. I have a Boss G7, now I have this. Thanks for SONICAKE for sending me this, so I will keep this. It's great to have. It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife, especially if you're touring with rental backline. I played with grade 800s, and then I played with someone with ones that the tubes were pretty much done. There was much lower, and simple EQ in front or in the loop, you can do wonders with any amp. So you don't necessarily need to buy a new amp. Just a kind of cheap EQ pedal does wonders. Hey, hopefully you found this interesting and informative. Until next time, all the best. Take care. Bye.